According to the New York Post, Donald Trump's policies will be vindicated in the wake of the coronavirus. I agree, but I'll go one step further. Donald Trump's policies have already been vindicated. He's been talking about China nonstop, and now Democrats are actually demanding that he bring the manufacturing back by using federal authority to mandate these companies do it. What about border security? Trump has always talked about border security. Now he's secured the northern and southern borders, and guess what? According to 3 different polls, the majority of Americans approve of Trump's actions on the coronavirus. So why is it then that for the longest time, people did not approve of what Trump was doing? I've got one simple answer. The media, their lies, and the narrative. They twist what he does. They take him out of context. Right now, you've got some viral story about Trump slamming a journalist, Peter Alexander or whatever his name is. But they cut out the context where this guy was sensationalizing and trying to be pessimistic at a time when Trump was trying to be hopeful. Guess what? The majority of Americans are in agreement with what Trump is doing. So why is the press acting this way? It's what they've always done. What if I were to tell you that after Trump started the task force to deal with the coronavirus, the media started putting out stories saying, no, there's nothing here. This is Trump being xenophobic. What if I told you that after Trump instituted a travel ban on China, the media came out and started smearing him relentlessly, saying it was more nationalism and it was unnecessary. Experts say it wouldn't work. What if I were to tell you that amidst everything they accused Trump of doing, they were doing the same things themselves? You'd probably just say, yes, I know, Tim. What else is new? Well, maybe there are some people who just don't know how bad it really is. So I want to show you how bad it really is. It is impossible in our current media climate to truly understand what's happening because they lie every step of the way. I'm sorry, they do. Look, not every single journalist, not every story. I absolutely rely on many of these news outlets for the news I get too. But when I dig through them and fact check, I can show you that they are completely lying about what's been going on. And while I've been critical of Trump saying that he could have done a better job, he was actually doing a decent amount at a time when the media was saying there was nothing to do. They criticized Trump, saying he downplayed it, saying it was like the flu. Guess what? So did all of the major news outlets. So why is it that every time Trump repeats something he hears in the news, they turn around and then lie and claim it didn't actually happen and that Trump's a bigot for saying it? And I've got receipts, man. I'm going to show you just how bad it really is. Now, for many of you, it's just confirmation bias. I get it. But maybe there are some people who haven't truly seen how bad it is. Perhaps they haven't seen how the media lies and cuts out the context. I'm going to show you how they do it. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. But the best thing you can do, share this video. And if you're somebody who has received this video because it was shared with you, give it a chance and let me show you how the media is lying to you about what's been going on with the coronavirus outbreak. For those that are watching and like my videos, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, just to make sure that YouTube actually sends you my video because they've been deranking and suppressing all of the videos about this topic. And, look, if I'm going to keep doing this, I'm going to need your support on this one. So here's the story from the New York Post, which I actually don't think I need to read. It's an op-ed and it's very obvious. But let's take a look at this one from the Washington Post. Opinion. This wouldn't have happened if Hillary Clinton had won. Really? Is that what you think? Well, Donald Trump has been bullish on, or he's really wanted policies to deal with China and border security. So if Hillary Clinton opposed those things, how would it not have happened? If anything, we're in a better position because Trump has held these opinions for a long time. According to The Blaze, and I'm going to show you this first so that you have this as a primer before we go into just how awful the media really is. Dr. Fauci credits President Trump's China travel ban, opposed by Joe Biden, with preventing Italy's disaster in the U.S. On MSNBC, Dr. Fauci, who many people respect, said that the travel ban Trump instituted with China so that they couldn't come here went to great lengths to actually help protect us. He praised it. This is the expert. And what am I going to show? I'm going to show you how the media actually slammed Trump for doing so. They've opposed him no matter what he does. This is the proof the media narrative is BS. Everything he does is wrong. Take a look at this tweet that I put out this morning. The media, study finds promising results. Trump, wow, these results are promising. Let's get on this. The media, oh my God, LOL, Trump is so dumb. Orange man is bad. Here's a story from TechCrunch, March 19th. French study finds anti-malarial and antibiotic combo could reduce COVID-19 duration. Yeah, it's good news. The study is very preliminary. It was a small sample size, but it is promising. That was what TechCrunch said. Then, on the 21st, Trump touts game-changing drug cocktail for coronavirus linked to fatal arrhythmia. The president, who is not a doctor, recommends a potentially dangerous drug combo to his 74 million followers. What do we have to lose, he asked. It becomes negative all of a sudden. But I thought they were just praising it. How is it that a story can come out, Trump will see it, repeat it, then all of a sudden it's bad news? Well, take a look at this from Bloomberg. Virus drug touted by Trump, Musk, can kill with just 2-gram dose, says a Bloomberg story with no byline, so we have no idea who wrote this. Yes, it's just more smears. How about this one? CNN Politics, Trump peddles unsubstantiated hope in dark times. And they say for the past 2 days, Trump has said he is dispensing game-changer breakthroughs on treatments and a wartime-style effort to mass-produce medical supplies. Why, when Trump says hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin could help, they smear him and they say it's dangerous and he's wrong and he is not a doctor. Tell me then, where's the criticism of Governor Cuomo? Andrew Cuomo right now is being propped up with hashtag President Cuomo, saying, look how presidential he is amidst this crisis. From CNBC, New York Governor Cuomo says state to start clinical drug trial, authorizes temporary hospitals, asks U.S. to nationalize medical supply buying. They specifically mention New York State is also running clinical trial beginning Tuesday of a treatment regimen of hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin, 2 drugs that doctors in Africa and elsewhere say they've seen good results in fighting the virus. Well, hold on a minute. That's what Trump was tweeting about. And now he's being smeared over the exact same thing that Andrew Cuomo is saying? Certainly, we can now see how the media narrative has been a lie the whole time, right? Oh, let me break it down for you. This is going to be fun. Media Matters. You got to love Media Matters. They produce crackpot conspiracy theories. They've lied about me in lies that were so absurd that people looked at it and said, so let me tell you what they did. They took a screenshot of me literally reading a news source and then attributed the quote to me instead of the news source and claimed I was spreading conspiracy theories. And it was a mainstream major news source. That's what they do. It's fake news. Fox News and pro-Trump media did everything they could for weeks to downplay the threat of coronavirus. Some in right-wing media may be starting to take the global pandemic seriously, but not before endangering people's lives with reckless coverage. You know, Media Matters? I actually agree. There is some dangerous media coverage that needs to be called out. And we should go right to Fox News' Tucker Carlson, who, oh, wait, what's that? On February 3rd, Tucker Carlson was talking about how dangerous this was, met with the president and warned him. Shortly after the president instituted a travel ban on China? Wait a minute. Well, I think it's true, and it's fair to point out, there were Fox News personalities absolutely downplaying this, and I will absolutely give them my criticism and disrespect. But guess what, man? When the New York Times says the same thing, why would I hold them to a special standard? Why would I say Fox News is bad? No, they're all bad. Tucker Carlson's actually really good. They say Carlson talked about the outbreak in his monologue on his show on February 3rd. But attention at the time was focused on the Iowa caucuses, and that when people see everything through an ideological lens, it's very hard to tell a straightforward story. There's a story from Newsweek where they actually say that Tucker Carlson warned the president. Well, that's good news, because only a few days prior, on January 29th, Trump had formed the White House Coronavirus Task Force. Well, that seemed a bit preemptive. And then on the 31st, he actually instituted a travel ban. So Trump administration announces mandatory quarantines in response to coronavirus. Announcement comes as U.S. airlines cancel flights to China amid growing fears. January 31st. You know what was going on January 31st? This is really funny. I was thinking to myself, man, we're in the midst of this lockdown. I can't leave my house. I mean, I can, but I'm not supposed to leave my house. Where was I? Well, I did a video about this on the 23rd of January, and I definitely downplayed it. I immediately corrected when I started seeing the data coming in. But, I have my faults too. No one's perfect. And so I started wondering, why weren't we talking about this? Oh, what were the Democrats doing? Well, when Trump was forming a task force to deal with the coronavirus and instituting travel restrictions and a quarantine, the Democrats were trying to impeach him. And was that his fault if his attention was split? It's almost like they're trying to take the plane down while he's flying it, and they get mad at him for the bumpy ride. Well, let me show you just how fun things really get. I want you to remember that Media Matters story where they said the dangerous coverage Ah, yes, dangerous coverage like on January 28th, Business Insider writing, the flu is a far bigger threat to most people in the US than the Wuhan coronavirus. Here's why. Wait a minute. Not only are they playing up the false narrative that the flu is worse, but they literally call it the Wuhan coronavirus. I thought that was racist. I thought it was racist when Trump said China virus or Wuhan virus. Oh, guess what? Throughout the entirety of the coverage, the mainstream media has referred to it just as this. Wuhan, China, Chinese. And all of a sudden now they're changing their tune. They're going back and erase. You know what, man? I don't want to hear it. How about this one from USA Today? Coronavirus is scary, but the flu is deadlier and more widespread. On February 1st, this was after Trump had already put in place the ban, after he had already put in place the coronavirus task force. The media was coming out and saying this. And don't think I'm done. I love this one. Get a grip, America. The flu is a much bigger threat than coronavirus for now. This story from February 1st. How about the New York Times? This is from Farhad Manjoo, who said, the new virus's death toll has just exceeded 130. For context, about 15 million Americans have been sickened by the seasonal flu so far in the 2019-2020 flu season, and 8,200 have died from it. The flu kills between 300,000 and 650,000 people around the world annually. What worries me more than the new disease is that fear of a vague and terrifying new illness might spiral into panic, and that it might be used to justify unnecessarily severe limits on movement and on civil liberties, especially on racial and religious minorities around the world. I'm actually going to give him credit for this one. This story from Farhad, it's actually pretty good. At the time, I think he was justified in saying, I'm not super worried, the numbers are kind of low. Now, I think he was still off, and it was slightly irresponsible in that the White House had already issued a statement that this was way worse than the flu. But at the time, I can't blame everybody for not being, super smart and knowing literally everything, because I made similar mistakes. I also completely agree with him when he says we're going to see our civil liberties and movement curtailed under the guise of a terrifying new threat. But the point is, you can't criticize the president when he says it's just like the flu, when the New York Times said the flu was worse. You want to know where Trump got the crazy idea that the coronavirus wasn't that bad? He got it from the fake news. He got it from the media that is now criticizing him for saying what they literally said. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. Op-ed. The new coronavirus isn't a threat to people in the United States, but the flu is. Thanks, LA Times. Now, here's what we have from whitehouse.gov. This is January 31st, mind you. Dr. Fauci. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. The concept that's underlying the action that you'll hear about shortly is the issue of the unknown aspects of this particular outbreak. So let me enumerate just a few of those. I can start off by putting it into perspective by telling you I often get asked, we have an influenza outbreak here. We have about 8,000 deaths already. We have about 100,000 hospitalizations. Why are we paying such attention? And why are we doing the kinds of things we are doing here right now? Well, the reason is, despite the morbidity and mortality with influenza, there is a certainty, for example, of seasonal flu. I can tell you all, guaranteed, that as we get into March and April, the flu cases are going to go down. You could predict pretty accurately what the range of the mortality is and the hospitalizations as we've done over the years. So let me reiterate. On January 31st, 2020, Dr. Fauci had warned the American people in a press briefing, the flu is not that bad. Yet in the days following, the media published story after story after story saying the flu is actually worse. Did they not heed the warnings of the now famous Dr. Fauci? Someone who was put on a task force by the president? And so when the president comes out and then repeats the misinformation they say, they blame the president for what they said? It's like the tweet I showed you in the beginning. Trump sees a story in the news about these two drugs that are going to help out, and he says, "Hey, this sounds great," and they start smearing him for it. And now we have Andrew Cuomo of New York doing it. I don't see anybody smearing him over the exact same thing. That's how the media plays you. Trump is just repeating what he sees in the news. Oh, but there's more, because I'm not going to be finished yet. From Politico, this is February 4th. Coronavirus quarantine travel ban could backfire, experts fear. The government has broad legal authority to detain people in the name of public health, but politically and diplomatically, it's more complicated. Oh, here's one. Health experts warn China travel ban will hinder coronavirus response. And there's more. Trump's travel ban expansion is an unexpected win for China. Oh, I love that one, Washington Post. How about Project Syndicate? Not super familiar, but they say Trump's travel ban benefits only China. Here we have The Verge saying the new policies contradict advice from the World Health Organization, which said yesterday that countries should not restrict travel or trade in their response to the new virus. The World Health Organization said the outbreak of the coronavirus is a public health emergency of international concern. World Health Organization. It was against their guidelines. Really? Remember when they tweeted this on January 14th? Preliminary investigations conducted by the Chinese authorities have found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of the novel coronavirus identified in Wuhan. Oh, thanks, World Health Organization, for sharing fake information, fake news from China, which made the problem worse. And then you said Trump's plan was a bad idea and he shouldn't restrict travel. It was against our recommendations. And now Dr. Fauci on MSNBC is saying it was important. It was a good thing. This is why Americans aren't buying the narrative anymore. You can only go so far screeching that the orange man is bad and everything he's doing is wrong up until people start getting confused because the timeline is being crunched. How is it that just last month they said Trump was wrong to be concerned about this, and now we're here and they're saying Trump was wrong for not being as concerned as we are now? It literally doesn't make sense. If you're going to smear the Trump and smear the president in the president in story after story about his travel ban being a bad idea, but now Dr. Fauci is saying it was great that he did it, how does it make sense? January 23rd from Vox.com. The evidence on travel bans for diseases like coronavirus is clear. They don't work. They're political theater, not good public health policy. This is just what they do. When Trump does something, it's bad. When he does the opposite, it's bad. When he repeats information from them, it's bad. Congratulations. The narrative is busted. It's being exposed for what it is because we're in a real crisis, along with many other vanity politic projects, right? All the social justice talk seems to evaporate. Celebrities seem to become inconsequential because we're dealing with a serious emergency now. And because life is not all candy canes and rainbows, what do we see? In major urban centers, where the Democrat strongholds are, they're raiding gun shops. They're running in there buying up everything. What's that? I thought you weren't big on the Second Amendment. Now, when Trump is shutting down the border and turning away all asylum seekers, what do the polls show? Many Democrats are starting to agree with Trump. As I've said in numerous videos in the past, it is easy to criticize the system when you live in safety and security. All of these woke progressives atop their ivory tower don't know of the real struggles Americans face, and so for them, it's easy. And this is why I think you'll see that in middle America, in these dying towns where people are unemployed, they're screaming, help us. And what do we get? The media gives them nothing but disdain because they don't understand just how hard things really are. Until Trump comes along and starts saying, I'm going to do these things to help you. And guess what? Trump was right. He was right about China. He's right about border security. And now Americans are starting to realize why he was right. And it's unfortunate. Trump should not have had to have been proven right in these circumstances with people losing their lives. But unfortunately, he is. I'm starting to question I've seen all these videos and I was critical of the president because he had been downplaying the coronavirus. And Tucker Carlson says it was because Trump didn't trust the fake news. These media outlets that pump out this fake information, I'm not surprised. But it turns out much of it was kind of a hoax. It's what we see. You may have seen that clip where Trump does the thing with his hand and mocks the reporter. The media then came out and said he was making fun of a guy for being disabled. I believed that for a long time. And then someone sent me a video. It's from the Walkaway campaign people, where it shows Trump making fun of everyone doing the same thing, the same arm movements. He wasn't singling that guy out. He just mocks people. I'll put it that way. And so I started to realize, you can criticize him for doing that, his bad behavior, but the media had lied about it. Now we have that story, which I may have mentioned. It's that guy from I think NBC. They're sharing a clip saying Trump is attacking the press because he called this guy a bad reporter. They're saying this guy lobbed a softball question at Trump, asking, what would you say to Americans who are scared right now? And Trump said, I would say you're a bad reporter, and then lays into the guy. What they cut out was the minutes of context before this, where the guy was being overly, he was fear-mongering. He was panicking. He was pessimistic, saying, stop giving people false hope. You're giving people false hope with this medication. And Trump was trying to say, look, it may not work. I'm trying to be hopeful. These things are promising. But the guy kept going after him. So finally, Trump said, you know what? You're a bad reporter. And there it is. The out of context snip. What they won't show you in any of this is how the media has perpetuated lies, smeared the president, and claimed everything he was doing was wrong. And as soon as he reacts, they flip the script, cut the context, and make him look like he's a crazy person. I don't think what Trump did was perfect. I actually am still a bit critical of his early response, but I start to realize as I dig into this, I wasn't paying attention to what the media was saying because the impeachment process. So when I started, now that we're in the midst of a new global crisis with the coronavirus pandemic, I started looking at all these other stories and I was just shocked to find, wow, I was wrong a bit. Trump was reacting to this. I still don't think it was perfect, but you know what? He made that task force and he brought on Dr. Fauci, who many people respect. And Fauci warned all of us on January 31st, the flu was not as bad. That coronavirus would be worse. Certainty was an issue. And the media still pushed its lies. In the wake, we're starting to see that much of the politics of these people on the left is fake. Take a look at this story from Post Millennial. The social justice cult is falling apart as the world faces a real crisis. These political plays, these claims, the woke activism, it can't survive. We're dealing with a real crisis where we just don't need celebrities anymore. Many jobs, people are finding out, are completely irrelevant. Fortunately for these media people who have pushed fake news over and over again and espoused this garbage narrative, fortunately for them, but not for the rest of us, they're still considered critical infrastructure, essential personnel. I kind of gag, but you know what? What can you say? You take the good with the bad. But then I go back to the first story. Trump's policies will be vindicated. For me, I've read all of these stories. I now realize just how much the media had lied about him and continue to do so. They continue to lie almost every day. And I think to myself, you know what? His policies are being vindicated, and not even just his. I mean, I made a video about this a couple days ago. Conservatives were proven right on border security and the Second Amendment. You can't see Ilhan Omar and MSNBC and CNN pundits praising the president and not recognize it. There are people who are now waking up to the fact that we need to do many of the things he's proposed, that the media has been tricking us. But I'll leave it there. Maybe it's not perfect. Maybe there's something I missed. I certainly think it's fair to point out Fox News personalities did downplay this. One lady got pulled off the air because of it. Was it Trish Reagan? I could be wrong. So yes, criticism where criticism is due. I absolutely will criticize Fox News, but guess what? Tucker Carlson was one of the first. That guy continues to impress me. He was early on. He met with the president, and because of him, I've said in the past, Tucker Carlson may have saved the country. I think I really mean it here. I mean, this crisis we're facing is a legitimate existential threat. Many people are going to lose their lives, and the economy is in serious danger. How we react to it, I don't know what the right answer is. All I can tell you, the media lied. I'll see you all in the next segment at youtube.com/TimCastNews starting at 6 p.m. Thanks for hanging out.